Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open one of the most fascinating puzzles in all of modern literature. We're talking about Julio Cortázar's 62, A Model Kit, a book that's not just meant to be read, it's meant to be assembled. So, picture this. Our story kicks off in a pretty ordinary setting. A Parisian restaurant called Polidor. A character named Juan is there, and he happens to overhear another customer ordering a steak. A totally normal, everyday moment. Or so it seems. But here's the thing. Juan is a translator, and his brain works a little differently. He mishears the French for a rare steak, Chateau Saignant, as something else entirely, Chateau Sanglant, a bloody castle. And that one tiny, accidental slip of the ear completely shatters his reality. What happens next is what the author calls a coagulation. It's like a mental flash flood. All of these seemingly random images and memories just snap together in his mind. You've got the infamous Blood Countess from centuries ago, the wine he's drinking, which sounds a lot like Transylvania. Even the name of the restaurant itself connects back to a vampire novel. It all fuses into this bizarre, interconnected web. So you're probably asking, what is going on with Juan? Is he losing his mind? Well, what if I told you that this sudden, overwhelming confusion isn't a mistake at all? In fact, it's the entire point. It's the doorway into the author's wild literary experiment. Okay, so where did this bizarre idea even come from? Well, the key is actually hiding in plain sight, in Cortázar's earlier masterpiece, Hopscotch. This whole book is basically the full-blown realization of an idea he first played with in that book's 62nd chapter, hence the title. Say, Cortázar was tired of characters driven by the usual stuff, love, revenge, money. He wanted to create what he called puppet characters, people who are moved by these invisible forces and hidden connections that are always humming just beneath the surface of reality, things you can only really perceive with a kind of third eye. Now, the amazing thing is, Cortázar doesn't just toss us into this weird new world and leave us to fend for ourselves. Nope. He actually gives us a model kit so we can build this new reality right alongside him. In his own preface, Cortázar basically tells us, hey, this isn't a fixed story. It's a box of parts. The way you, the reader, choose to connect the dots and assemble the elements, well, that's what determines the story you actually get to experience. To help us figure this all out, Cortázar even gives us a special vocabulary, a sort of guide to the shared psychic landscape that all his characters live in. It's like getting a glossary for a dimension that exists right next to our own. First up, there's the city. Now, this isn't a real place like Paris or London. Think of it more like a collective dream world, an alternate dimension that characters can just slip into from anywhere. It's a place where those bizarre connections, like Juan had in the restaurant, are the actual laws of physics. Then you have the zone. The zone is the bridge back to our reality. It's a physical, real-world meeting spot, a particular cafe table, someone's bed, even a moving car, where the characters all get together to share the strange stories from their trips into the city. And finally, we have the paradros. This is maybe the wildest concept of all. It's like a shared consciousness, a kind of group mind or guide spirit that can jump into and act through any character at any time. This is the invisible force that's pulling the strings of those puppet characters, explaining how they sometimes know things or do things that don't make sense for them as individuals. Okay, so it's one thing to have definitions for these strange concepts, but what do they actually look like in the story? Let's check out how all this plays out by comparing what happens to two different characters. This comparison really lays out the two sides of Cortázar's experiment perfectly. On the one hand, you've got Juan, who is just a passive victim, totally blindsided by the world's hidden connections. But on the other hand, you have Marist, a sculptor who totally gets it. He actively and playfully uses that same strange logic to create confusing connections for other people. So what is the ultimate goal here? Why create all these psychic spaces and strange rules and puppet characters? What's he trying to do? Well, the answer is both simple and absolutely revolutionary. Cortázar wants to completely destroy the old passive relationship between an author and a reader. He isn't just telling you a story. He's handing you a box of parts and challenging you to become a co-creator. And here it is, from the man himself. The final story you experience is totally determined by your choices, by the way you assemble the pieces. Reading 62, A Model Kit, isn't passive at all. It's this active, creative, and sometimes pretty confusing process where you are the one building the meaning. By completely shattering the rules of a normal novel, Cortázar leaves us with a huge, provocative question at the end of it all. If we're the ones building the story, then who's the real author? He's inviting us to question the very nature of storytelling itself, leaving us with this beautiful, complicated puzzle that sticks with you long after you've closed the book.